everybody and welcome to my video, Getting Tidier. I hope you're well. This video starts with a couple of little clips as to what you can expect to see in the video. Also, I've been working really hard in the bedroom, so look out for one of my next videos, which is going to be a massive sort out of clothes, of dust, of stuff. Lots of things to be sorted out. But this video starts on Friday morning. I knew that I was going to be picked up at about 9 o'clock-ish, so I decided that I'd got a little bit of time. I could get my hair washed, get changed, and then do a couple of small jobs in the kitchen. So I put all the washing on. You know, I said the other day about how I discovered loads of washing. So it's a couple of loads that I needed to put on, and then also my husband put some out for me. So this load that I put on, I then said to him, while I'm out, if you can get the washing out, hang it out into the garden, that would be appreciated. I also went out and just checked whether some of these things could come off the line. I dried those 2 pairs of shorts. I found 4 pairs of shorts on his chair. 2 of them with holes, which I had been talking to him about repairing, but I've just decided that it's a bit silly to repair them because the hole is like right on the bottom area. I just think unless you're going to put some sort of patch on it and look like a Looney Tunes. So I decided to get some washing in before the person came to pick me up. We went to a meeting, for 10 o'clock, about 20 miles away from where I live. And someone in my team said about driving, and I was trying to think, I really would rather not drive. I'd never drive by choice, but he offered to pick me up for 9 o'clock, and so I jumped at the opportunity not to have to drive. I mean, I don't hate driving. I just wouldn't choose to drive if I could kind of not, if that makes sense. So we had the meeting first thing in the morning. Everything went well, and we travelled back. And I had lunch with my husband, and he had managed to get all the washing back out onto the line and got loads more dry. So that was a great help. And then I worked for the rest of the afternoon. I did a little bit of work Friday evening, not that much, just a little bit, and then just got ready for our day out on Saturday, where girl guiding took over the whole of a park, which is not far from Lowestoft in Suffolk. It was all rainbows, brownies, girl guides, rangers. It was only open to those groups, completely closed to the public. That was nice because girls could wander around and we'd know that they were, relatively safe and there was not going to be any strangers, etc. there. There was lots of good rides we went on. Went on the pirate ship, went on the gondolas, and look out, I do a little clip right at the very end where you see that. So kind of back what I would have done, so going back say 18 months ago, while I was waiting for my colleague, I would have probably sat on the sofa and thought about all the things that I needed to do, and maybe I would have checked my email in preparation for work. I certainly wouldn't have jumped up and thought, what can I do before he picks me up? Can I do any washing? Can I do any drying? And I think what happens is the longer you kind of get in a habit of just doing small things, doing something in the morning, doing something at lunchtime, little things throughout the day, you do build habits. And then you don't have to do these grand tidy ups and grand sort outs, which take like a whole day, because you've just done a little bit. So I do think that makes a big difference. Little things like I'd use the last amount of the powder in the container and then I wouldn't fill it up. So it's all about, I think, helping my future self. that video, I had left it just recording at normal time. So I decided to increase it by 50%, so it's still fast forwarded. But I think that shows really how long all these things take. Everything takes so long. So if you're like working on a particular project or job, just spend 10 minutes and then stop. What I'm trying to do is I am trying to do blasts of time because just my life's busy with work and family life, etc. So at this point of the day, my daughter was getting ready. So she was having a shower and washing her hair and everything. And I thought, right, let me see how much I can get done in the kitchen. And I decided to clear the whole of the side, pull everything out and really do a deep clean. I was horrified by the coffee machine. So I never touch the coffee machine. I don't clean it. I don't use it. I don't touch it. But the coffee machine had got into a dreadful state. So I ended up giving that a big clean. And then I couldn't quite believe what was lurking in the toaster. The toaster was absolutely full of like what looked like little lumps of charcoal. So I don't know what's happened, whether like bits of bread have just fallen down the bottom and then over time they've just turned into coal. Is that possible? No, I know it's not possible. So those of you that are thinking about responding to that. But still, that's what they look like. And so I cleaned all the side. You'll see this in a minute. I cleaned all the side. And then I looked and there were breadcrumbs all over the side again. So I tipped them all into the sink. I also made a bit of a boo-boo because I was cleaning or washing down all the tiles and I turned the electric points off and then I wiped over the electric points and managed to get soap suds in them. But my husband said that'll be fine. We'll just leave it for a while and let them completely dry out. So I have been trying to maintain the kitchen. I'm taking the good advice of a number of you and keeping the whole end section clear. That little container there, you just now saw me bin. It's a mulled wine that I've had in the cupboard for like the last 10 years. And it fell out of the cupboard. I think it fell on my head when I opened the cupboard one day because there's so much stuff in the cupboards. And then it sat on the side and somehow it's got all damp. So I thought, oh, this is a good reason for me to get rid of it. So I took the contents out of the little bag and I put them in the bin. And the little bag I'm going to dry out and just give to charity because it's quite a nice little sort of gift bag. I do like my tiles in the kitchen because I think they look nice and bright, but obviously they do show any marks. So I was trying to go all over them. And I think the steam from the coffee had caused like a coffee sort of mark and tar underneath the cupboards. I couldn't quite work out what that was. I hadn't seen that before, but I decided to really give that a good clean. What I tend to do is I tend to clean. I don't like these sprays. So I put some fairy liquid on my, what I call green stuff, on my cloth to clean. And then I scrub it really hard to clean it. And then I use a towel just to wipe over it. So that's what you'll see me doing with the towel. I find that that's just the best way. I don't really like all these sprays, and I find fairy liquids, I mean, everyone encourages you. They make you believe that you need all these sprays. And like a number of you have said, the benefits of vinegar, etc., on cleaning. So I cleaned all under there. And then you'll see that I then go over all of the side. I like to do my cleaning in sections. So I cleaned like a certain part of the side and then wiped that down. Then I did another chunk of the side and wiped that down. Then I cleaned the coffee machine. So I did manage to get quite a lot done there. I couldn't quite believe how dirty it was underneath the cupboard, which was a bit strange. So you'll see me clean all of the side up. I then move on to cleaning the coffee machine, like I was saying. I spent quite a lot of time on that. And then I clean all around the toaster and I put them all back neatly. I wash down the side. Clean the chopping board, which I think I like the chopping board, but that does make my side look broken up. And then I'll do some washing up. So I do quite a lot in this video and I clean all the sink. Now, one of the things that I wanted to touch on is a number of you have said to me about the flylady and following the flylady. So I had a little look at what was involved with a flylady, and one of the first things that she recommends is as your first job is cleaning the sink. So I did laugh when I cleaned the sink because I thought, oh, that's one of the first things for the Fly Lady. Should I start doing the Fly Lady? But then as I was reading up about the Fly Lady, I thought, I'm not sure about getting dressed to shoes. And that's the second point that Fly Lady says. So that says on the website, Fly Lady believes that you feel and act differently when you're completely dressed with your shoes on your feet, even if you're not leaving the house. It makes you feel ready to go. Read Fly Lady's essay about why you should get dressed in shoes every day. Now, I agree with the principles about getting dressed and like if you wear makeup, doing your makeup, brushing your hair. She made the point about like if you're at home with the children and you're just like, not getting dressed, wearing your pajamas all day and not getting ready to kind of leave the house. I do understand that, but where I live, people do not tend to wear their shoes in the house. Now, I know this is quite common in the rest of the world. People will wear shoes indoors. But where I live and my family, we don't. So if I walk into my sister's, I might keep my shoes on in the hall. But if I was going to step into her lounge, into her dining room, into her kitchen, I take my shoes off. When my daughter goes for her Italian lesson and we step into the house, just by the door, we'll take our shoes off and leave the shoes at the door. And now sometimes people in England, can't talk for the rest of the country, but people in England will say, oh, don't worry about that, leave your shoes on. Don't worry about taking your shoes off, but you still take your shoes off. The only exception to that would be if I had bare feet. So say, for instance, I was wearing my Birkenstock sandals and then taking my shoes off would then leave my bare feet, in which case I take a pair of socks round and I take my shoes off and I put my socks on and then I go into the person's home. So I'm not quite convinced by that point with Fly Lady, but I do agree with the, ensuring that you're ready and always dressed ready to leave. And then the other thing that I really liked, and this is what a couple of you have already told me and commented on my post, is she says, your home did not get dirty in one day and it will not get clean in a day either. Now I'd add to that and build on that view in the same way as my house did not get full of stuff in one day and it won't empty in one day either. So if you've got clutter, if you've got mess, if you've got, dust built up, I agree with that. That didn't happen in one day, did it? So therefore, we all need to be kind to ourselves and ensure that each day, if you're doing a bit, each day if you're doing more, then you're going to know that you're going to beat the battle against the dust and beat the battle against the clutter. So the next point I was reading about, which I thought was quite interesting, was she's got specific commandments which you have to follow, and that will help you when you start the fly process. And then she says, are you ready to jump in where you are? So what do you all think? Should I start following Fly Lady? The only thing that I just think is when I started looking at it, I thought I've got a lot more to declutter. I've got a lot more to sort. So can I start launching into a process such as wipe down your shower screen, do this, do that, when actually I've got loads of other things that I need to get rid of out of the house. So I'm not quite sure I'm quite ready for it. What do you all think? So have you all had a lovely weekend? What have you all been up to? So like I said, I went to Pleasurewood Hills on the coach and we were really pleased because we did so much fundraising this year. We were able to take the girls in the coach and entrance to the park and a badge for just £10. So that was really, really good. And I was quite excited when I got my my badge. Something else for me to sew onto my blanket. Yeah, I've got about 6 that I need to do on my daughter's and about 10 that I need to do on mine. But I'll get round to that eventually. I'm getting a bit quicker actually at sewing. So that was really nice. And then Sunday we decided no alarm clock. So we got up a little bit later and watched a little bit of television in bed, had breakfast in bed, thanks to my husband coming down and making breakfast for us. And then we've kind of done some jobs around the house. My daughter's done her homework. I've done some cleaning and sorting. And then we start thinking about getting ready for the week ahead. Although I should say, this evening we're going to see, is it Hillside? Hillsong. I always remember. That's because we've got a local charity called Hillside, but Hillsong. So for those of you that are Christian and like different Christian songs, we are going to see that group. So I'm quite excited about that. I'm looking forward to that. And then you'll be pleased to know that I'm not working on Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are full on. And Friday, please cross your fingers, please cross your toes. I'm hoping to do a shorter day on Friday, which will be nice. And my daughter's going to be going away for a few days. So she's getting very excited about that. So I need to prepare and sort of sort out bags with her on Wednesday, Thursday to get her ready. So it's going to be quite a busy week because I've got quite a few meetings out and about, but I've got Wednesday, I'm going to be all day at home, and Tuesday I'm delivering a workshop, which I still need to write part of. I had this great idea how I was going to review all the workshops and change the workshops because there's quite a lot of repetition in some of them. But that then, of course, meant I had to rewrite some workshops, which I kind of forgot after I went on holiday. And then the workshop day creeps up on me and I suddenly realise, I haven't written it all. I need to write it all. And then I end up spending usually time in the evening to kind of finish off the workshops, write the workshops. I'm still, I had a boiler fitted, which I'm still not heard from the engineer as to how that's gone. Still needing to sort out some decoration. However, I was going to do some Friday late afternoon after I'd finished work, but then the lady messaged me and said that she was full of some lurg and she was going to wear a mask and ventilate the house, but she would understand if I didn't want to come round. She would quite understand. I thought, no thanks. There's no way I want to get any additional lurgs. You know, there's big enough risk of, and when you have school children, isn't there, of all the things you get home from all the other school children without picking something up from an adult. What I'm going to do now, though, is I'm going to go through some of your wonderful comments. And thank you so much for taking the time to comment, letting me know where you're from, letting me know some top tips and ideas. And as well as the Fly Lady, I have also looked up Diane from Denmark that a number of you recommended. And I was really enjoying some of her videos and I thought, oh, I'm getting like even more motivated to get rid of more and to sort more. But when I got to one of her videos where she was going through her clothes, I was looking at the video like in complete shock as she went through and cleared out her blazers. Now, I know some people do commonly wear blazers and have jackets, but she's got like about 30 white blazers, some red blazers, pink blazers, blue blazers. And I was looking thinking, a lot of people on my channel have said to me, you've got a lot of clothes, you need to sort out your clothes, clear out your clothes. Your husband needs to get rid of his clothes. Your daughter's got too many clothes. And then I looked at Diane from Denmark, I think that's her name. Please correct me if I'm wrong. And she'd got a whole rail full of blazers. I have basically got 2 drawers under my bed, a couple of drawers in the playroom, haven't I? Which are kind of, that's mostly retro clothes and things that I'm not going to wear anytime soon, but I don't want to get rid of. And then I've got the wardrobe in my old bedroom, which has got like smart clothes, so things for weddings, a dress to wear at a funeral, clothes, smart clothes for work. And I don't very often go in there, because obviously I don't need to go and get those clothes very often. The other reason I'm not going in the bedroom very often is because everything's piled up at the doorway for my sale. A few of you have commented and said you need to get that all sorted out in clear boxes. So what I think I might do is move all that stuff, which is really close to the doorway, and put it over the other side of the room by the radiator. So from my lovely subscribers and people that follow my journey, first up is Pam. So Pam says, hi Emma, hearing you say the best parent you know how to be made me think Because even with help and input from family or friends, every mum and dad is new to each child. What works for one might not work for the other. I think the reason I enjoy my grandchildren so much is because, yes, I know more about children now, but I also know I'll learn from them and from my daughter. I never assume I know best because I don't. I reckon life in general is always a learning curve. I think that's a wonderful post, Pam, and I completely agree. And I do think you seem like such a lovely, supportive mum and such a lovely grandmother. And I completely agree about learning from others and learning from others of all ages. One of my greatest lessons in life, I completely put down to my daughter. My daughter teaching me about things that I hadn't previously understood about. Sally Bombali says, watching you clean and declutter in one slipper because you can't find the other has to be one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time. It really tickled me and made me belly laugh. Thanks for that. Pam Woodard. Hello, Pam. So Pam lives very close to where I live. So Pam lives in the beautiful county of Suffolk. Pam says, hi Emma, I've been watching your videos since you started and I've watched your great progress. I love the way you stay true to your beliefs and you are so respectful and honest. Keep being you. It's taken you a lifetime to accrue your items. You won't get as tidy as you would like overnight. Little and often, and you will get there one day. Thank you, Pam, for being so encouraging. And that's exactly what I was saying, what the Fly Lady would say, isn't it? One day at a time. She says, just keep going, Pam from not so sunny Suffolk. And I will be looking out for Pam when I cross the border into Suffolk next week. Pam also says, Suffolk and Norfolk are beautiful. Keep getting tidier. You are doing a fantastic job. Thank you very much. Now, Rebecca Corser-Wallace, she said, I definitely needed one of your vlogs tonight. I've been at hospital today with my husband for his MRI. I'm so tired. Funny how sitting in waiting rooms can be so tiring. Now, I think it is partly because of the emotional turmoil that you're in. That's why it's so tiring. It can really take it out of you. I can really appreciate that. Rebecca, can you give us a bit of an update as to how your husband is? How did he get on? How are things going? Holly says, I missed watching live as I was too sick. So catching up this morning. I love your home. Now, Holly is now 10 weeks pregnant. So she's going to have a 12-week scan very soon. She feels like it's taken forever because she had to announce the pregnancy so early because she was so sick. And her other children were really worried, so we had to tell them. And then, of course, she had to announce it to everybody else because their youngest child just wanted to tell everyone. So we're sending you all our very best wishes and we're excited for you to let us know about how the scan goes. Will you be finding out if it's girl or boy? Or do you like surprises, Holly? Next comment is from Danish Buyer. Now, I don't think I've read this comment out before. It's from 3 days ago. I do sometimes make a mistake and read the comment out twice, but I'm sure you'll forgive me. Danish Buyer says, this channel is such a great find. You're a treasure. I have to say your understairs cupboard looks pretty organised and non-horrific. You have to have somewhere to put things like that, though I know how you feel, especially under scrutiny. The bits and bobs and housework and mental load of life is never ending. I really like the way you're including the way we should share the load, or rather, it should be shared. I also did the one slipper thing today. Strangely, often not finding the other slipper, never just wearing one. That was funny to see. Thank you for your comment. Danish, have you told us before where you're from? I can't remember where you're from. So next comment is from Pam. So Pam has commented on a couple of my videos just recently. So she says, my friend has 3 sons, but I will say she's very close to them and their families. In fact, they adore her. I do wonder if it's because she treats their wives as if they were her daughters. In fact, one son's marriage ended, but his wife still sees my friend every Wednesday. It even brings along her 2 children from the relationship she has now. Stays the day and picks up her other children to take them all home, and they all call her Nanny. Oh, wow. That sounds like that is absolutely what she's done. She's embraced the wives of the husbands and trusted her sons have chosen the best people for them. This is it. Whereas my daughter co-slept with both of her children until they felt ready to sleep in their own room. I've said before that she fed them both until they were 3. Some silly woman actually said it's not natural. At that time, my grandson was only 6 weeks old. Oh, goodness me. I tell you what's not natural. It's not natural saying that it's not natural. Heaven knows what she would have said if she'd seen him at 3. Goodness, sounds like your daughter has done a fantastic job. Absolutely fantastic. I think, I'm just trying to think, my daughter was 2.5 when I stopped feeding her. Of course, that had been cut down to like 1 feed a day at that point. And then I was feeding her to sleep. So she was then in the evening. So she was then waking up in the middle of the night and still wanting me. So we then moved the feed to more like the middle of the afternoon for that once a day. And then I left it to see whether she'd ask. And then she just stopped asking. And I can remember she sort of like, she said about it one time. But then she'd not fed for like 2 weeks, so I guess there was not really that much there. Your daughter's done an amazing job, Pam. Okay, so the next comment is from Karen Howard. And Karen says, a little hint for a rainy work-free day. Start sorting your sale items into cardboard boxes of like items. Toys, clothes, shoes, puzzles, jewellery. Then when it is sale time in the spring, they'll be easy to move out onto tables or whatever. Just in my humble opinion. Thank you for that, Karen. So you wouldn't recommend doing what I'm currently doing, which is opening the door, throwing the things in and closing the door. No, it's not. I'm not really throwing the things in. I'm just piling them up at the moment. Carolyn says, way back in the olden days, we used to keep our shoes in our bedroom closets. Nan Home says we still do. And Carolyn said, recently it seems as if everyone wants every shoe that they own by the front door. That's interesting, isn't it? See, I do have some shoes in my wardrobe in my spare bedroom. But I've got my wedding shoes in there. And then a few other kind of going out pairs of shoes that I wear very, very rarely. Andrea says, I love watching you clean and declutter your home and different angles. Keep up the good work. Now, Letmar. Lee Tamar? Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Says, commenting from Canada. Splitting my time between Vancouver and the Yukon Territory. Wow. Which is the Arctic Circle. Goodness. How come you're splitting your time between the 2 locations, if you don't mind me asking? I'm so pleased to hear that you've raised so much for the Allergy Foundation. I worked my way through your videos in September while I cleaned my own house. Oh, thank you. So you were one of the people that contributed to my viewing hours going up so much and my channel earning more money in September. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I did have a laugh yesterday while you were trying to figure out America. It's hard for Europeans to reconcile. But if you're in Seattle, the weather is very much like England. If you go to the very south states, it's much closer to the equator, so not all states have much winter. Consider that Texas borders Mexico, while England is as far north as Canada, so the weather is very different than our latitude. In regards to travel, I could drive for 10 hours and still be in my own province. England fits into British Columbia about 15 times. Yeah, you're right. That is difficult for us to comprehend how big it is. And I think it's, I always think Americans get very, very surprised that they can't see the whole of England in 3 days. Because England is so small. And yet, for example, Norwich and Norfolk is completely different to Durham, to Manchester, to Birmingham, to parts of Scotland, to Plymouth, to Liverpool. So vastly different, which I think people don't quite realise. Or they'll come to like London for 3 days and then think they've seen England. Jane Mercer says, hi Emma, your kitchen is looking super clear. IKEA have some brilliant storage ideas. It's well worth a visit if you've got one nearby. I haven't, but I did go on my little IKEA trip, and I need to go on another IKEA trip very soon. I remember one car boot sale we did when my daughter, now this did make me laugh. You really made me laugh, Jane. She's written, oh, this is the sort of thing you'd never forget. And your daughter will be talking about this to her grandchildren, I promise. So Jane says, I remember one car boot sale we did where when my daughter and I went for a wander, we came back to find my husband had sold my daughter's brand new trainers that she'd left in the car. He was not popular. Oh dear. A mum would never make that mistake. I'm not being funny. A mum would never make that mistake. And I also did you chase after the person who'd bought the trainers and offer them double the price they paid? Oh, that made me laugh. Cynthia Miller says, hi Emma, I had an idea for you to hang a shoe bag on the inside of your understair cupboard. Your shoes would then be very easy to retrieve and pull away. Thank you. It's a good idea. Rainy Millerman says, I have an epilepsy foundation pickup for October the 15th. So it's now the 6th. So you've got a few more days. I have 3 medium boxes at the moment with a bit more room in them. I think I'll try to sort out a few more books and I can make room to bring more in. Ha! I had saved these white doves that my mum had and put them on a shelf. They are brilliantly white that they make other things look grim. The more I thought about it and looking very closely at these doves, they are virtually impossible to clean. They are made of salt. Yes, salt. I tried taking an artist's brush, but it didn't do much good. I've decided to make them a problem for someone else, so in the box they go. They don't look bad yet, but I can see them being a future problem that I don't choose to deal with. Also, if they're knocked off by the cats, all I'll need is a vacuum cleaner. I think that's a very wise decision, Rainey, to get rid of those. They sound like they're going to be more trouble than what they're worth. Completely impossible to dust. And completely impossible to clean. It's not like you could wipe them with a damp cloth that might all melt. Oh dear. Lizzie said, Emma, Polly Pockets, laughing. Holly said, another lovely video. I'd love to be entered in for a chance for a macrame hanger. I don't think it'll be long before you reach 3,000. I hope not. It was about 5 months ago that I got to 2,000. And I said, I reckon it'll be a year before I got to 3,000. And Andrea said, no, it'll only be a few months. And Andrea's right. 5 months later. Jen says, I see you're under the stairs. And I'm thinking you're making room for Harry Potter. I think you're right. Brooke says, I was just going to ask you if your husband has gone through his clothes and decluttered them when you talk to your bedroom. You mentioned you were going to put your husband's shorts and track pants for the rags. I'm just curious if that means the same for you as it does for us Americans. I remember reading books about poor kids being rag pickers and being able to sell things. So when I say about sending it to the rags, there's 2 things that I could do with it. I could either put it in the bag for the charity shop, and the charity shop will sort out all the things that they're going to sell, and then they will also sort everything that goes to rags, and they will get paid per weight for items that are, things that can't be sold, rags. The other thing that I could do is I could put them in a plastic bag, separate to my rubbish bin, and just leave them next to my bin, and the bin men, or maybe women, mostly men, the bin men will pick up the bags and put them in a separate place. Carolyn asks, was I the Star Wars lover? No, it's not me. Although actually I have watched a few Star Wars films and really enjoyed them. But it's my husband that is the Star Wars fan. And Nan Holmes says she's never heard of Guy Fawkes. She said, I probably didn't spell that correctly. Now, Brooke says she has read a lot of books and watched a lot of shows based in England, and that was why she knows about Guy Fawkes. Otherwise, I would have never heard of it. And we're taught the rhyme from a very, very young age. Remember, remember the 5th of November, gunpowder, treason and plot. I see no reason why gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. And what used to happen years ago was that children would make Guy Fawkes, and they'd get some old clothes and they'd stuff paper in his legs and roll rubbish in his body, and they'd make him, you know, into like what looks like a person, and then they'd take him out in their go-kart or sit him on the street corner of the outside the shops, and they'd say penny for the guy, and the local people would give a few pennies as they walked past, and the children would then save up and hopefully have enough money to go and buy some sparklers or fireworks. In my house, when I was a small child, we would do the same. And the guy would sit on the sofa maybe a week, 2 weeks leading up to us having a massive bonfire in the garden, and sometimes inviting friends. We'd have barbecue baked beans and burgers or jacket potatoes. It was great fun. And I can remember sometimes as I got older, it was a bit weird because the guy would sit on the sofa all week, and then you'd sometimes look and you'd think it was someone. And then when we took him outside and sat him on top of the big bonfire, I used to sometimes feel a little bit like, oh, because we'd sat and made him and stuffed him and had a photograph with him sometimes. There's a couple of photographs of when me and my sister were quite little sitting next to the guy. So we have done that quite a few times with my daughter. What I do is I go to the charity shop. I don't like using our own clothes. So I go to the charity shop and I say to them, oh, do you have any clothes for rags that I could use for a guy? And then they go out the back and they'll like sell me a pair of old jeans that they're going to put in the rags and a jumper. And then we attach the top and the bottom with string, and we stuff him with paper, and then we sit him on top of the bonfire. And sometimes we might shout out like, down with Guy Fawkes or something like that. So the end part of this video, I'm showing you a little bit of what you will see in my next video, my mammoth sort out of the bedroom. So I hope you've enjoyed my video. Thank you very, very much for being here, for watching my video, for all your comments, your likes, your ideas. I really very much appreciate them. And I end the video with, yes, you seeing a little bit what I'm doing in the bedroom. And remember that big bag of odd socks? Here you'll see I've emptied it out onto the bed and sorting it all through, which I thought you'd be pleased to see. I managed, as I empty it out, that I did find about 4 pairs of socks, but then I went through them. There were some with holes, some were really past their best, so I just decided to get rid of all of those. There's also some other new tops that my husband's been given, which I know really aren't his sort of thing, and some other clothes which are just summer clothes and that need to be put downstairs.
I don't think the lake's that hot. Look. So you can see it really good from there.
That's fine, that back bit.
That's good.
So I thought I'd show you that little clip of the gondola that was going all the way across the park, and then the little clip of part of just outside of Yarmouth, which is nice. I love that part, all that scenery. There's some incredible wildlife and nature there. And then my daughter wanted one of these candy flossers, and I was so pleased. There were none of her allergens, and so she chose to have the mushroom. And then right at the end of the video, I'm doing a little exercise routine because I need to get fitter. So thank you very much for your support and your encouragement and your motivation. I hope this is helping some of you. I hope you've had a lovely weekend, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye!